Hey guys, today we're having a look at solving quadratic equations through factorisation. So just a little reminder that if we have a product of two things equaling 0, then one or the other of those things can be 0. So if you've got A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B can be 0. Okay, so using that, let's have a look at our first one. 18 minus 2x squared equals 0. So what we've got to do here is remember some of our factorisation skills. So one of the first things we need to think of is there any common factor? We've got a binomial here. Well, we have 18 and 2, so we could take a 2 out as a common factor there. So we're left with 9 minus x squared equals 0. And now we can spot this as the difference of two perfect squares, where this one is 3 squared, this is x squared. So keeping my factor of 2 there, I can break that into 3 plus x and 3 minus x equals 0. So now we can go up and use this. We have a product of not 2 but 3 things. 1, 2, 3 things equaling 0. So any of those 3 things can be 0. Of course 2 can never be 0, so we've got to look at these other two factors. So we know that 3 plus x can equal 0, giving us x equals negative 3, or 3 minus x equals 0. In that case, we've got x equals 3. So we've got two solutions to our quadratic equation there. Okay, let's have a look at another one. This time we've got a trinomial, but what you might notice here is that straight away we have a 2 over here. We do not have a product or an expression equaling 0. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is take the 2 over to the other side. And we're left with then x squared plus 8x minus 20 equals 0. Now that we've got the 0 here, we can think about our factorising. Well, we've got a trinomial where the leading coefficient of the x squared is 1. So once again, we can look for two things that multiply to give negative 20 and add to give 8. Well, we've got lots of factors of negative 20, but you guys should be pretty good at this now. I think we can think of that as negative 10 and positive 2. Okay, so we can break it into our factors. We've got x minus 10, x plus 2 equals 0. If you're not sure there, of course, you can expand that and check that you get the expression you need. So here we've got either x minus 10 equals 0, in other words, x will be 10, or x plus 2 equals 0, in other words, x is negative 2. And we've got, once again, not one, but two solutions to our quadratic equation. All right, let's have a look at another one. Nice simple one here, quadratic trinomial equaling 0. We've already got it equals 0, so we can think of factorising it to break it into its product. So let's have a look. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to give negative 5, add to give the coefficient here, which I'll put in there, of course, is 1. So think about our factors of negative 5. We know one has to be positive, one has to be negative to get a negative product. Well, we have 5 and 1 are our only factors, so could we use negative 5 positive 1 or positive 5 negative 1? Well, I don't think we can get any here of these combinations to get positive 1. So what does that tell us? All that says is that we can't factorise. Okay. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we can't solve it. There are other options of solving. We'll talk more about what it means if we can't solve it by factorising a little bit later. Okay. But at this stage, we can't solve this because we can't factorise it. Of course, you know you can use quadratic formula and things like that. But we'll look at that another day. All right, let's do one more. A little bit harder one this time, where we've got a trinomial equaling 0, so we're ready to factorise, but we have our leading coefficient of 2. So what do we do when we've got this situation? Remember, we take these two numbers. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to give 2 times negative 4, negative 8, and add to give negative 7. So think about your combinations of 8. You've got 8 and 1, and 4 and 2. So what numbers are going to multiply to give -8, add to give -7? I think if we look at these ones, 4 and 2, we can get 2 and we can get 6. That's not going to be the case. I think 8 and 1's going to be the way. We know 1's going to be positive, 1's going to be negative. So I think we can say we've got to have a -8 and a positive 1. So now we can go and use those two to break up our middle terms. So we've got 2x squared minus 8x plus 1x minus 4 equals 0. And we've just broken our 7 up into our -8x plus x. Then we can use our grouping method. What have we got as a common factor here? I think we can take a 2x out there. And we're left with x minus 4. Let's swap pens. X minus 4. This is the bad part of the board. And what's our common factor here? I think the only thing we take out there is a 1. So we'll take a positive 1 out. We're left with x minus 4. Now we know we're on the right track because we have the same factor in parentheses. So we can take the x minus 4 out as a common factor. And we're left with the 2x plus 1. So of course x minus 4 equals 0. So x can equal 4 there. That's an easy one. Or 2x plus 1 equals 0. You may need to do a little bit more solving there. 2x equals -1. X equals -1/2. So once again, we have two solutions.